Nope.
What is up, you guys? I'm James Reptiles, and in today's video we're going to be talking about leopard geckos and how long they can go without eating. Let's hop right into it. Now, at first thought, it sounds really cruel to not feed your gecko for a long time. It's like, why would you do that? If you can't feed it, why would you wait? Why do you need to know this information? Now, there's a lot of people that freak out. I had one person who said, oh, I feed my gecko every other day and I'm having all these issues with it and blah blah blah. Now, leopard geckos can go a really long time without eating, and this is something to think about, especially when brumating to breed. You typically, brumation, that's what I'm doing right now, stop feeding for a couple weeks, make sure they get all the poop out, then you don't offer food and you keep them cool. And the reason you do this, the reason you don't want food in them when you turn the heat down on the rack, is so there's no food in the belly. Because if there's no food, or if there is food and there's no heat, they won't digest and it will literally rot inside them. Now, that right there is 3 months of no food. There are people who breed and have success breeding without brumation. I find more success brumating though. But again, there are also geckos that go off of food for a while. There's more likely to happen in snakes, but I've definitely heard of people, not having their gecko eat. Personally, if I have problems, I tend to just tease feed. It's a gecko, it'll be fine. Snakes are a little more iffy because if they regurgitate, yeah, you kind of have to wait to try to feed them again, and that's a whole thing. But geckos, I tend to just tease feed or offer them different insects. But I wanted to tell you guys a story, and I've told this before. I'm not going to name anyone. It wasn't my animals, but I'm not going to tell you who it was. But I know a company who brought a bunch of geckos to a show, and they brought them back, and they forgot some in a box, and they put the box in the garage in the California summer for 6 months, no food, no water, nothing, just hot summer garage for 6 full months. And when they got the box down for the next show, all the geckos looked perfectly fine. Now, I know that's very crazy. None were dead, by the way. 0 dead. Everything looked like perfectly fine. It looked like nothing had happened. It looked like you just took them out of an enclosure. But that just goes to show you, in the wild, they're not eating every other day. Maybe one day they find food. Maybe they go 2 weeks without finding anything. Maybe then they eat a whole bunch. Maybe then they eat every couple days. It's not, nature's unpredictable, and these animals have to be resilient to that kind of thing. So typically here I feed once a week. I tend to feed my babies more like every 5 days just to help them grow a little bit more. But typically once a week is perfectly fine for adults. I mean, if you want to feed twice a week, that's also perfectly fine. I wouldn't really do much more than that if you're just keeping for a pet. But really quick, I want to go through a couple of my geckos that are brumating, and they haven't eaten for about 2 months now. And I want to show you just how healthy they look. Now, there's a lot of people out there who say you can't not feed your gecko for 2 months, which is insane because literally every year, every breeder goes like 3 or 4 months not feeding their geckos. So we're gonna start right at the top of the rack here. Now, the top's really where my breeders from last year are, the projects I started with when I set the rack up. So they're gonna be the biggest and the fattest. These are proven breeders. Pardon me. Now, this is Malloy. Very fat tail on him. Very healthy. You can see a lot of them will be back in the hides in the dark because they are brumating. They are cave animals essentially, so they're pretending they're in hides. Again, a proven breeder female, very large, very thick tail. And let's just jump down. This guy from Canada, pretty awesome. He's always had kind of a slender body, but you can see very thick tail. We'll jump down to my Black Knight, who was very small last year, and you can see he's out and about, and he's still small. But honestly, for him, that's a healthy size. It's looking very dark and velvety right now. But, let's jump to this girl. This girl is, it's going to be her first year. She's tiny. Look at how small she is. She hasn't eaten for 2 months, and she still looks the same as she did when I stopped feeding her. These are all just like things you notice. Let's jump down to this gecko. This will be this animal's first year breeding, but look at how large it is still in brumation, you know? These guys will be fine. Animals will be fine. Reptiles just are really good at not eating for long periods of time. A lot of people are freaking out. I know a lot of people on Facebook tend to freak out about this kind of thing, and it just is what it is. You know, you see it with snakes. This girl hasn't eaten in a couple weeks. She just shed, and I tell you what, she's so hungry. She's out. She's chasing me around when I walk by. She's ready to eat. When animals are ready, they're ready, and when they're not, they're just not going to eat. You know, we've seen these animals go long times without eating, and they're just going to do what they're going to do. Reptiles are built to do this. Now, by no means should you starve your animal. You know, you got to really pay attention to the body weight, thickness of the tail, hydration levels. All this is very important. But what I am saying is, for someone experienced like me, having these geckos not eat, having these corn snakes not eat, it's really how you should be doing things. I know in the wild there are some snakes on certain islands that don't eat for 9 months out of the year because there's nothing on the island. And then for like 2 or 3 months, a bunch of birds migrate and they eat all these birds for months and months and months, and they just stuff themselves sick, and then they don't eat for 9 months. And this is just something that happens. I've seen my personal snakes go a year without eating. I've seen other snakes go a year without eating. It's just something that happens. But anyway, this is just going to be it. Today's kind of a short video. I'll just see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that definitely helps out the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.